And like regarding Model Citizen and that writing process, I think that the label was very, very smart with how they welcomed us and very kind-hearted. Because when we told them that, you know, we wanted to write it alone, because we thought that, and it is, that an all-girl band that's very, very new has their first record deal with a major label, and their first release to be written all by them is very telling. And I think that's a very powerful thing.
Hey everyone, welcome back to The Record Process. This week, we are lucky enough to share with you our interview bringing together all three members of the band Meet Me at the Altar. We sit down with vocalist Edith Johnson, guitarist Taya Campbell, and drummer Ada Juarez to talk about the band's origin story, as well as all the challenges that they had to overcome in terms of forming their unique blend of easycore and modern pop punk. We discuss how the songs for their latest EP, Model Citizen, came together and what they learned about each other and what this band would ultimately be through an exploratory string of online remote collaborations early on. These women are incredibly talented and so much fun. I love this interview so much. So excited to finally be sharing it with everyone. So here is our interview after a short note from our sponsors. First, I'd like to thank DistroKid, who has graciously offered to sponsor this season of The Record Process. DistroKid is the most affordable service for independent artists to distribute their music to all streaming platforms, and it comes filled with a suite of tools to help you elevate your career. DistroKid not only allows you to spread your music across the streaming ecosystem, and yes, that includes TikTok, but it also helps you share your story with labels via the Upstream tool. You can engage your fan base using its text messaging feature and even create unique lyric videos. Record Process listeners now have a chance to get 30% off the first year of their membership at DistroKid. Just head down to the show notes and sign up using our affiliate link. We can't wait to hear what you've been working on, so don't hesitate to reach out to us at truelevelstudio.com/The Record Process and share your release plans with us for the upcoming year. And next, I'd like to give a huge shout out to Sheet Happens Publishing. They're a company that works directly with artists to create accurate and immersive tab books, vinyl, and other merch that allows fans to get one step closer to perfecting the soundtrack to their lives. I recently had the pleasure of putting together a book with them for my band The Wonder Years, and trust me, they are incredibly thorough and dedicated to artist-approved accuracy in all of these books. Every tab book comes with the accompanying guitar profiles, which is very cool, allowing you to jump right into playing along with your favorites. Head over to sheethappenpublishing.com to check out all of their offerings and be sure to enter the code TRP15 at checkout for 15% off your first purchase. That's sheethappenpublishing.com, promo code TRP15. So go check out their amazing library of books, and happy shredding, my fellow guitarists. Taya, Ada, and Edith of Meet Me at the Altar, welcome to The Record Process. Thank you so much for being here. How are you all?
Hello.
We're good.
We're good.
Chillin', yo.
Chillin'.
You know, to the listeners, full disclosure, I did already know that because we've been on here for a couple minutes having a great time. So we're just going to kind of keep it going and dive right in. First of all, I can't thank you enough for taking the time as you guys are you're all spread out right now as well. But that's also kind of part of the story of your band and how it all came together, which is why we were super excited to kind of have y'all come on and talk to us about that, because I think it really lends itself to some really unique and interesting parts of the creative process, I would have to imagine, and we have a ton of questions as such to try to unpack some of that. So, I mean, let's start here. The last couple years, outside of what else has been happening in the world, as if that was not enough, has been a pretty wild turn of events for the Meet Me at the Altar world as well. Let's start there. What has it been like to go from, kind of just an online collaborative thing to signing to an incredible label that probably is home to at least a few bands y'all were familiar with before that, and then everything that's happened after. What's that been like?
It's been absolutely insane how much we've grown, like, since the start of the pandemic. We've been a band since 2015 and had members go here and there.
Oh my gosh, wait, sorry. We have to talk about that, by the way. We have to, because there's tea there.
Oh, wait, should we get really into it? So there was one summer's eve in 2015. I was where this is going. I was looking up drum covers of 21 Pilots songs, and I came across Ada's YouTube channel. And I reached out to her because she was sick and she was around my age. And we hit it off, became friends, and decided to start a band, even though I lived in Florida and she lived in New Jersey. And we were so young, we didn't know what being in a band even meant. I was 14 and she was 16. Like, we were just some kids on the internet. But the internet is also how Edith found out about us.
And I do really think that our story is very much fate, because I was just like on YouTube. I wasn't looking for anything. I was just like on YouTube, and I saw Ada's video she posted about her and Taya starting a band, and they needed a singer. So the video was called "I'm in a Band and I Need a Singer," and I was like, oh my gosh, like I had just like found like my first band, Bring Me the Horizon, and then I was like wanted to be in a band, but I wasn't really thinking about it like that much. I already knew I wanted to do music, but I didn't know that I wanted to be in a band yet per se. So I was so excited, and I was like, oh my gosh, like these two girls are looking for a singer and it's perfect. And I was like, I'm gonna get it. So I watched the video, and then they had like things that they preferred to have in this potential singer. Like they wanted it to be a girl, and she had to be like around their age, because like they didn't want like a 30-year-old joining a 14-year-old's band. So
ew, gross. 30-year-olds, right, Tom? Am I right?
So old.
And then like the song choices, like I don't know the other ones, but I tried out with Paramore, All I Wanted. That's what I tried out with.
Which we made that one of the songs people could use, because we were like, if anyone has the balls to actually first cover this song and do it correctly, obviously they're the one to go with.
Oh man, I love that so much.
Yeah, I was 14 at the time, or 15. I don't know, one of those. So I tried out, and I was like, dang, I killed that. Like, oh my gosh, like, there's no way they're not going to choose me. Like, I did so well, all this stuff, hyping myself up. And I was just like dead set. I was so dead set on being in the band. Like, I was like, I'm going to get it. And then they posted a video like weeks later about who their new singer was. And it wasn't me. It wasn't
Ice
me.
Cold.
But at the time, there was another member. They had a bassist also. So Taya voted for me, but she was outnumbered because Ada didn't vote for me. And the bassist at the time didn't vote for me either. And I will never let her live that down. Sometimes I'm like, Ada, how does it feel that you didn't choose me? I regret it.
You know what? As someone that's been in a band for a pretty long time, I think you need some of those things to really just pile under the surface to really come up at the worst possible time, like 10 years down the road. So that's great. You're already off to a phenomenal start. Yeah. You've got all of those little skeletons in the closet between y'all. You got it out of the way very early.
Yeah. But I was upset that I didn't get it. But for some reason I was like in serious denial that they didn't choose me. And I was like, well, like whatever, because I'm better than the girl they chose and I'm going to be in the band anyway, even though I clearly wasn't in the band. So I was really outwardly supportive with all of their members that they went through. And like, even though they didn't choose me, I didn't want to seem like a bitter-hearted person, even though I was very upset. And I stalked them. I'm not even joking, guys. Like I stalked them like every day.
Kind of creepy.
I would watch everything they did, all their videos.
In hindsight,
like, all their music. I would be like, it's good, but it'd be better if I was in it. And then I don't know. I was just so like fixated on them that I
She's right though.
Basically got a hold of Taya's number, and I texted her every day for like 2 whole years, and I was like,
that sounds so ominous. You got a hold of my
I did. I don't know why you gave it to me,
right?
But like they lost members here and there, and I was always there, and I was like, I texted her every day. I was like, do you need a singer? Do you need a singer? Do you need a singer? And then eventually she was like, yes. We do. And then now we're here.
So basically, it sounds like you strong-armed her into being into the band, which again, if we're taking this and putting a positive spin on it, are lessons for our listeners, both in persistence and in patience. Okay. Yeah. You're going to wear that person down if you want to collaborate with them. Okay.
I wouldn't change it. I wouldn't change a thing about how hitting happened though. Like I totally wouldn't.
Well, that's so amazing. And neither would I, because it seems like it worked out pretty well. Jumping off of that, because, and Tom and I were talking about this a little bit too, where it's really interesting sometimes, especially when you're looking for other people to collaborate. That's a comfortable crossover, and other people that you can trust. Sometimes it's easy to find that common ground in those influences, which is kind of exactly what y'all did, by selecting covers and then gravitating towards each other because of the songs you selected. So I kind of want to start off with an interesting thing before we dive into the songs themselves and the making of Modern Citizen. I want each one of you to kind of give me your real quick, 1, 2, 3, what's your perfect show? If 10 years from now, Meet Me at the Altar is headlining, you've just completely wiped the floor with everybody else in the genre, what's the perfect 3 or 4 band bill? Ada, let's start with you.
Damn. Crap. Well, the first thing that comes to mind, because this can go a lot of different ways, honestly. I feel like if we're keeping it in a pop punk kind of sector of things, I want to say The Story So Far would be on there because I love them and I feel like that would go hard. And then, I don't know. Let's throw someone big. Let's say Bring Me the Horizon.
Bring Me the Horizon opening for us.
That's right. Honestly, there is no ceiling.
Hey, I'm talking about openers. Hey, let's just say Bring Me the Horizon, The Story So Far. This is crazy. And then, damn.
It also it can be as eclectic as you want it to be. You can go outside. This is your show. This is your bill, your tour. You're the curator.
Facts.
Oh my god.
Nice. Okay, great. I love that.
Done.
So a depth play.
That's the bill.
Yes.
Crazy bill. Really
attend.
Weird, but
Okay.
I think that'll work. The Story So Far.
Okay.
Bring Me the
That's
Horizon.
really good.
Not in that order.
They can fight over the billing. Edith, same question.
Paramore. System of a Down.
Whoa, love it.
Nice.
And I don't even know who else.
Nice.
I'm looking at my wall because there's a lot of bands on my wall.
Take your pick.
Yeah, look around for cues, for sure.
I love when this happens. You just can't think of
I
bands.
have another
even though
answer,
you think of
but
bands all the
keep
time. But when someone asks you, you're like, I don't know any bands.
You forget every single band that ever
I
existed.
don't know. Oh my gosh.
Maybe it's just a 3-band bill.
I would also say Bring Me too, because I'm literally obsessed with them, and I always have been. I still am. So
amazing. Okay, we'll throw Bring Me at the bottom of the bill. They'll open at Taya, same question. Last tour. What do you got? You've had some time.
So,
yeah.
Us.
yes.
Pink.
Love that.
Avril Lavigne.
Pink.
Nice.
Oh my god.
Nice.
Love that. Pink.
And Demi Lovato, but they can only play stuff from 2008 to 2011.
They can only play Get Back and La La Land.
Stacked.
Wow.
Yeah.
I love
Can
this.
we bring
Putting the blinders on Demi's set.
In an alternate
you
universe.
can only play, but we're making your set.
In an alternate universe, we can bring
my God.
Pink Slip from Freaky Friday.
Yes.
From Freaky Friday, Lindsay Lohan.
And the System of a Down one.
I was also thinking maybe I feel like Limp Bizkit could be in this somewhere. I kind of wish I said them.
You know what? That's fine. We'll throw them on the hometown show as a fit. So you're totally right.
Yeah.
We cover.
so.
Man, I love that.
We cover Limp Bizkit.
I love that so much. Do you?
Wait, what song do you cover?
Fun fact, we do too.
Really?
Oh, they covered so many songs.
Yeah, well, Yeah, Tom can tell you more about it. He experienced it. Like a few years ago, we did a Halloween show, or a couple of them, and it was an all Limp Bizkit cover set. Of like
have you heard the new album?
I'm sure there's videos somewhere. I'll try to send it to you. It was as heavy and as new metal as you wanted it to be. So we have that shared appreciation for it. But I love that. Thank you. And that exercise is so much fun. And I think it demonstrates something really cool that Tom and I were talking about, that there is a pretty serious crossover between all of you in some of the influences, but there's also a wide range. So how did it come down to, and I'll start Taya and Ada, because it kind of started with throwing covers back and forth with you two, right? So how did that start? Yeah. Because even when it came down to like picking songs that you wanted to do, it's like, what did that process start to look like? Because I feel like that was maybe the very first like starting catalyst moment for what Meet Me at the Altar would kind of become. And I think that's a really cool thing for fans to like peek behind, of like, how did that song choice and collaboration start out?
Yeah. So when we decided to become a band, we wanted to get content out as soon as possible without having to wait on like actually writing and creating music. So we decided, like, why don't we just do covers? Because covers was Ada's thing, so it wasn't, unfamiliar at all. And the first song that we ever covered was a Man Overboard song. It was Montrose, which, oh my God, I love that song so much.
Such a good song.
I watched that like 20,000 times.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Nick probably knows about that, but I appreciate bringing Brazizi into this conversation.
Yeah. We were like obsessed with that song at the time, and that from there we like covered some Paramore songs, and then like, I don't know what made us decide to start covering more modern pop punk, but I had never heard of like Neck Deep, Knuckle Puck, The Story So Far, The Wonder Years. Like I hadn't been introduced to, all those bands until I met Ada, actually. But when she did introduce me to them, it just made so much sense. Like, we both were in love with it. So it made sense to cover those kind of songs. And that kind of helped us like determine what we wanted to sound like ourselves, even though, Baby Mamada sounds a lot different than we do today.
Yeah. So once you had these covers and the ground rolling with that, you got used to tossing stuff back and forth. How did that remote collaboration kind of work out? File sharing and like kind of piggybacking off of each other's ideas and performances? Because that's also, obviously, this is the record process, and it is no accident that there's a little bit of a pun working there, because we are, as well as musicians, also people that enjoy recording and capturing musicians, right? So, and that's also, and I actually, like, personally, over the last 2 years have ended up doing a lot of remote production that looks kind of like this, just a Zoom and talking through stuff and sending files and sessions back and forth. What did that look like for you two initially as well? And then I guess, probably even like Edith, when you finally strong-armed your way in, was there already a workflow that you were kind of getting in the mix with? What did it start to look like?
Google Drive was everything.
Yeah.
That's the first thing I think of. We used Google Drive.
Shout out Google Drive.
Taya putting up guitar parts on there, and then when I would record my drums, putting all of my stems on Google Drive.
Mm-hmm. It just like made so much sense. Like, we didn't really have to question how it was going to work, because we're Gen Z. We literally grew up on the internet. So it's like, obviously we can send files. I know she had like a recording set up because of her covers on YouTube. I had a little recording setup going on. The stuff we made wasn't good. It did not sound good at all, but also we were 14 and 16 having no experience with recording software. So like, we made the most out of what we had. But yeah, like it was just super easy. And especially when Edith joined the band, we had already been sharing files back and forth. So she just had to send her vocal file. It was just another step in there.
So it was kind of like, when I joined, I was like, okay, what do you guys do? And then they just added me to the.
It was simple as that. It was like, hey, you're in the band. Now you are shared on this folder. Let's go.
Yeah, literally.
See, and you know what? And here's what I love about that so much is that kind of demonstrates such a crucial thing, especially for y'all's generation too, and like the next generation even that's coming behind you and looking up to what you're doing right now, is you didn't overthink it, right? It was just kind of like, hey, this is, you send your stuff and then I'm going to put my stuff on, and then it kind of went organically, and you weren't like sitting there ruminating for hours and hours about, well, how should we do it? Is there a better way? Like, is that good? You just kind of did it. And then I think something, you mentioned, Taya, too, that's such a whole like core pillar really for this show and Tom and myself and a lot of younger bands that I try to instill if anybody's ever just like, hey, old guy, what would you recommend we do if we're a new band? I honestly kind of break it down, and you've said it even better. Go make a bunch of bad music. Go make bad stuff, get it out of the way, because you learn about yourselves. And that's kind of what you did. You were like, let's just make a bunch. First it was covers, and then it probably started and transitioned to not covers. What did that look like? What was the first transitional step into that?
Yeah, so even when we formed the band, I already had started recording just guitar ideas that I would come up with. And we were like, at some point, I don't remember when exactly, but we were like, well, if we're going to be a band, we need our own music. So we just used some of those starting ideas to go off on. And I've always written like all the instrumentals. So it was pretty easy because I just did everything, and then would send it to Ada, and she would, put her own twist on the drums and all that. It wasn't hard getting started because, and even when Edith joined the band, like Edith would write songs by herself and I would write songs. So we both already had that songwriter mentality. Why are you laughing at your old songs?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I found one of my old songbooks because I was, my room got remodeled here at my parents' house. And like I had to put everything back, and I had to like go through things to see what I wanted to keep. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I found one of my old like lyric books. I was like, oh my god.
Oh man, wait, you got to dig in. You got to dig in a little bit further. So is that how when you write lyrics? Does it just start? It just starts with lyrics on a page, right? Like an idea, put it down, not like humming a melody, or is it different? How maybe it's changed?
I feel like I was like doing it at the same time, but not at the same time. Like I would be humming, but writing. So I don't know. I wasn't like consciously writing a melody to go with the lyrics. I would just always sing and hum. It's kind of like a journal entry.
Totally.
Yeah. Thing, while I was like humming.
Totally. So how did you like, when it came to like top line, when it came like time to like put something down from a melody standpoint, were you kind of capturing those things and just going and running and just kind of like humming it into a voice note, or, were you like, is that what you were doing?
Yeah.
Voice notes are our thing.
Yeah. Oh my, I have so many. When I joined the band, I remember we were writing our first song with me as an official member, and that's on one of our first EPs.
Wait, what was the first song?
Wasn't the song How Could You Ever?
How Could You Ever was the first song. Yeah, and I remember, and she was like, what do you want the song to sound like? And I was like, at the time I was super, super into harder pop punk, like easycore, like Chunk Captain Chunk, like 4 Years Strong, like all that like hard chuggy stuff that I loved. I at the time I wasn't super into lighter pop punk because I was really into like metalcore and hardcore, and then I like got into easycore, and then I loved Chunk so much because it was like metal and pop punk together, and it was like the perfect mix. So I do think I brought a lot of that like harder pop punk easycore influence into the band. It just kind of it came with me because that's what I liked. So I was like, I want it to sound like easycore, like breakdown pop punk. That's what I loved. And I remember I was outside on my trampoline outside of my parents' house, and I just wrote that melody over what Taya sent, and then I recorded it on voice notes, and I texted it, and then they were like, this is so good. I was like, yeah, I think it's good. That's like my first memory with them.
Love that.
Oh wow, trampoline. So the trampoline is the secret.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah,
a lot of people think it's the shower where all good ideas and like $1 million thoughts strike. Apparently, Tom, it's the trampoline. I need to get one of those exercise trampolines.
We'll get one out
office.
back of the studio. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, just have, hey, take 5. Go jump around. We need something better.
Take 5. Yeah. So as far as like, so that was like the first songs that y'all as this formation wrote like that way. Now, how did that change with Model Citizen? Because like now there's the label involved. There's all like, what was that process like?
There's a bunch of people in suits, guy with a ponytail, I assume. No, I know that guy, and he doesn't have a ponytail.
No,
Johnny, if you're listening, I'm sorry.
That's
beautiful.
That's the reason why we were so. That's the reason why we were so like in love with FBR, because they weren't so major label like assholes. You know what I mean? We had like a couple of like interviews even with managers and managements that had that energy to them, and it's ugly. It's an ugly energy. And I think we liked FBR so much because they were the complete opposite.
Yeah.
And I think that makes a big difference, right? I mean, there's a trust thing. So you three had already been building like a serious trust tree kind of thing when it comes to collaborating. And that's the first time where, people, started taking notice. And I remember I had started seeing it's like y'all were like dominating a lot of the like genre hashtags and doing it. I was like, there's something. And that was like even, kind of before I think that like the Fueled by stuff like happened and got finalized. So, that's a big shift too, where all of a sudden people are taking note and there's kind of this like swarm to be like, hey, we're exactly what you need. We're exactly what you need. And there's a lot of opinions that start flooding in to that. Like, hey, what you're doing is great, but like you should do it more this way, or you should do it more that way. And I'm so glad that, you found somebody and a place like that where it felt right, because I think for a lot of younger artists and independent artists, they don't realize that that's actually a choice and a really important part of who they kind of like entrust to bring into their career and their creative fold, because it's a serious relationship, whether you like it or not. If you're signing on to a label, you want somebody that you trust and you hope has your best interest for obvious reasons, but then also is willing to give you feedback when you ask for it, but also not try to like, be too heavy-handed with things and let you evolve as yourselves. So what was that like? Was there anybody at the label or anybody that they kind of put you in touch with or recommended you connect with in terms of continuing that evolution for y'all?
Well, so we were super, super thankful because like you said, for Model Citizen, they didn't give input unless we asked. They let us just do our own thing. We told them that we wanted it to just be completely written by us. And they were like, okay. And I'm so glad that we were able to get that experience and really set the foundation for what Meet Me at the Altar is now, because we've grown since the start of the band. But like now that we're writing for our first album, now we're getting some more of that label input, and it's nothing that we ourselves wouldn't think, which is great, because it's nice to know that we're all on the same page and all have the same ideas of how to grow our music.
And like regarding Model Citizen and that writing process, I think that the label was very, very smart with how they welcomed us and very kind-hearted, because when we told them that we wanted to write it alone, because we thought that and it is that an all-girl band that's very, very new has our first record deal with a major label, and their first release to be written all by them is very telling. And I think that's a very powerful thing. Like, it's all us. It's our first label release, and we wrote it all by ourselves. And I think, there has to be like that chapter of like trusting the people you allow to work for your band and with your band. And I think that they handled it so well with respecting what we were talking about and just letting us be for our first release, because now like we trust them and they trust us like more than ever. And I think it was just a great experience, really.
Yeah, and that's so telling. And so incredible to hear, especially, and I want to pause and reframe that again for our listeners, anybody that's in a band or starting a band or, curious about what it looks like and the transition of getting to the I'm assigned band now or whatever, that doesn't all of a sudden make success and all of the, it doesn't turn all the keys and flip all of the switches. It still has to ultimately come from the artist in the band and be real. Otherwise, I think, people are going to see through those projects. Like you mentioned, I think that's an incredibly important thing to hammer home is a lot of people might want to, for whatever reasons, unfortunately, write off new, younger signings or bands nowadays because they want to assume, it's manufactured. It's, it's not real or whatever. But y'all are the real deal and y'all are writing these songs. And the label is seeing that, witnessing that, and staying at a safe distance and saying, we're here to support you because we know it's about you figuring out where you're going to go, where the next move is, even with this new LP, right? It's about you figuring out, hey, Ada's drum style gravitates towards this, and we love that about us. And Taya writes riffs like this, and these are her favorite songs. And Edith is like, no, we need it to be heavier and a more easy core kind of thing, right? At all the right moments. And that amalgamation is what's really going to make Meet Me at the Altar, and especially this next record that I'm very excited for. Now you're just teasing me. But I think that it bears repeating, right? That they allowed you to do that. When it comes to the sonics of everything, so y'all had been recording with mobile setups at home back and forth. When it came to the tracks that ended up on this EP, did you have any other hands? Did you do all the mixing yourselves, all the production, or did you reach out to anybody else to finish that process?
Yeah. So after our first EP release as this lineup, which was self-produced, we were like, okay, everything that's getting playlisting does not sound like this. We need to step up the level of recordings and work with the producer. And we were all big fans of this one band at the time. So we found out who recorded their stuff and reached out to him. And oddly, he was super cheap and his stuff sounded so good, which was very important for us because we were 16-year-old kids who I'm pretty sure I was the only one who had a job. We didn't have money from touring and stuff. So we literally had to scrap the money together and do GoFundMe's and stuff.
Yeah, I don't even remember. We did have a GoFundMe.
Yeah, GoFundMe was literally funded our EP.
If you contributed to that GoFunding campaign, well done. And there are a lot of people out there that appreciate it.
A long time ago. There were a couple people that did.
I remember there's this one kid named Dawson who donated $100 on his own. And we were like, whoa, what? You like us enough to give us $100?
I think you owe Dawson like a free sandwich or a dinner or something. Yeah. It's amazing.
I remember at the time we had if you donated a certain amount of money, we would do something back. And for him, it was a cover. Yeah. And we covered a Pierce the Veil song.
Yeah, Floral and Fading.
Love that.
That was his requested cover. I think, is that still up on YouTube or is that down? It's probably down. I don't know.
I think it is. Yeah. I don't know. Who knows?
Oh my gosh! Shout out Roy Robley. I don't know how to say his last name. Still in Chicago. That's who produced. He's so good and so cheap. I think he needs to put his rates up.
Rob, if you're listening, you heard it. They are telling you you're getting the Meet Me at the Altar stamp of approval. It's time to do it, buddy. It's time to increase those rates because you're on the radar now, whether you like it or not. Yep. No, that's awesome. Yeah.
We worked with him for the EP release after that one, which is Bigger Than Me. And then we also did a few singles with him, one of them being Garden, which was that was a song that really, really made us take off. And also he did Model Citizen. So everything that we've had recorded past just self-produced stuff has all been Roy, and we love him so much. He's such a great guy.
That was another thing that FBR handled so beautifully when we said that we wanted to steer the ship on our first release. And we were working with Roy prior, and they didn't even have anything to say about who we should go to for recording and production, which was amazing. They literally let us do what we
Love that.
did.
That's awesome. And and very big of them too, to recognize if it ain't broke, don't try and fix it right now. Clearly something was working. Clearly the tracks that had been coming together before were getting a response, and we're feeling, really energetic about on your end. So I love that. I think that's a really great testament to understanding if you have a good thing and there was already a history there. So, I think which sometimes too, like we mentioned, if you talk about signing to like big bad major labels and stuff like that, there's a lot of, like lore about, and there are plenty of stories. I know some friends that have stories of their own where they walk onto a label, or maybe they've already put out a record on an independent and then kind of upstream to a major, and then that major, or whatever it is, wants them to, or somebody, maybe it's not even the label, but like somebody gets in their ear about, hey, we really think you should flip the script and like work with this person or this person because they're really hot right now. And that there might be something to it. I think it's deeper than that, and it has to still connect, right? And sometimes, especially in this climate, if you're trying to, to move quick and get out of your own way, if you have a relationship like that everybody can say these are working, I think that's awesome to be able to just steer into. And I think that's probably a lot of why, there was so much success with it early on. Yeah,
Case, and we covered a scenario like that with Mayday in our other episode, and they had like a horror story of co-writes. And like they were like, we had to co-write. And so like, yeah, that's huge. So for Model Citizen specifically, were y'all together when writing that, or were you still apart and like writing like that?
That was the first release that we've had where we were together when we wrote it.
Whoa.
Yeah, because we functioned as a solely internet band for the first like 5.5 years as a band, but after we got signed, we moved in together into a house in Florida. We used that year to do like a bunch of press and write in the same room for once. We were so busy.
We were so busy. It was like really crazy because like everyone was freaking out about COVID and like they couldn't see their bandmates. But with us, we were already apart and we came together during the pandemic when everyone wasn't.
How was that transition then too? You go from having as much distance as any of you could ever need to waking up and it's we're here collaborating 24/7, whether I want to right now or not. Were there any growing pains with that, or was it all love and excitement, or how did that kind of like change the dynamic a little bit for y'all?
Absolutely. I think that, good things don't come easy. Like I always say that. And it's all obviously we really did go from like the two complete like opposite sides of like not living in the same state to living in the exact same house. So of course it was challenging at times, but we were all just really excited because it was basically like a hype house for music.
Hashtag hype house. Love
hype house.
Influencer.
It sounds like fun. And
we called it the Mamada House.
Yeah, the Mamada House.
And I was following along too and it did seem like you were genuinely having fun. So I think there's some merit to that too, where all of a sudden you were together, you were trying to, keep up, put out a lot of content, updates while it was all coming together. So it was almost kind of like you were writing what comedians call a lot of times writing on stage, where you were like, hey, we're here, we're doing this, and doing it in front of all of your fans, which interestingly enough, you were no strangers to, having come from, the world of YouTube and covers and just getting out there and doing it. But this was the first time you could all kind of do it together and everybody could see that happen together in real time. So that's really special. Yeah.
But like, even though we moved in together, our old writing process stayed the same for the most part, because instead of writing our parts in separate states, we just wrote our parts in separate rooms in the same house. Like I would still just like make my guitar parts and then send it in our group chat, and Edith would write her melodies in her room, and our walls were super thin so we could hear each other.
We could hear each other.
Oh wow.
That would drive me crazy.
It was like that mindset of like, if it's not broke, don't fix it. Like, it literally wasn't broken. Like, we wrote all the time.
We were comfortable
like remotely, and we still kind of did that. Tess did her own thing, I did my own thing. We literally still texted. We didn't even like go to the like living room to play each other. We just texted into each other.
Wow, you like intentionally sequestered yourselves. You're like, hey, this whole like being in the same room, I can't see you while I'm writing this. I have to think of it as like, let me do this and then send it to you.
It's embarrassing. It's embarrassing. Writing is embarrassing because like you gotta like, it sounds like crap when you're trying to like figure out what you're gonna do. So it's embarrassing. We were like, let me do that on my own time.
I just remember too being in the house and like, because my room was across the hall, I guess, from theirs, and like whenever Edith is like writing lyrics or something, she'll just have the song playing. So I would hear the demo
over and over
with
again,
like on her speakers, just over and over again in the other side of the house, and like. I'm just like thinking, like, I wonder what she's coming up with, if she's coming up with anything.
What you're describing is the pretty much the primary reason that Tom and my significant others hate what we do on a day-to-day basis. And if we choose to work in an unisolated environment, it's like, what could you possibly be doing listening to that chorus 5,000 times? Anything that I do or put out, they're just like, I'm like,
need to do
hey,
it.
do you want to listen to the new mix? It's like, I've heard it. I know every word. I can't get it out of my head. It's my new Hell song. So in that way, it's interesting too, where you're just like, this better be good because I've heard that chorus a lot, and now I'm like starting to hate hearing my drum part looped.
So Ada, like what everyone can sequester off into their rooms as far as like, oh, I'm gonna write my guitar. Oh, I'm gonna sing my. How like what was the process with drums? Because like you can't make those quiet unless it's electronic. So like,
true. I know that Taya would program all of the drums, which made things very easier than having to, because we had a little rehearsal space in a separate
on TBT.
Yeah, it's not there anymore.
Oh,
we had a rehearsal space that was nearby, and I had my drums in there because at some point we had to record. There were a couple, like Hit Like a Girl, we recorded that in the rehearsal space, but Roy flew out there. So like we had stuff like that, but Taya would just program the drums to make things a lot simpler and still done in her room.
Love it.
On her laptop.
When you hear that kind of like framework that Taya sends you from a drum standpoint, because obviously you've been doing covers, you've been playing a lot of stylistic stuff, you know, of a bunch of drummers like throughout the genre and outside of it, right? So each of those drummers kind of has their own style and vibe to it, and you were kind of working your way through all of those. So like when you get those parts, are there ways when you go to track them that you kind of say, this isn't really an Ada fill, or are you like so like locked in that Taya just knows exactly, like you're like, nope, this is it 100%. Now I'm just gonna go kill it.
I feel like it's a mix because Taya is really good at writing drum parts, and I feel like like drum wise, Taya and I kind of have a like similar mind. Because, like, whenever she writes something, there's nothing that's like, I don't think that fits. Like, that's never happened. Like, and then also, Roy, Arthur, is a drummer. So back when we would go to
incredible drummer
record with him, we would come up with fills on the spot, usually.
Awesome.
That's when the drums really come to life.
Yeah,
like the drum, like they basically rewrite the drums.
That's pre-pro for most rock bands. That's certainly what pre-pro for all of our records has looked like. So yeah, what is that? What else happens kind of there?
That's what I was gonna say. Also, a little bit. Sometimes we change arrangements. Sometimes, like if we'll go like, oh, maybe this part should go halftime, and we would usually think of that while we're recording drums.
Were there any big like changes or last minute like 11th hour like aha moments on this EP that you remember distinctly?
I think every single song, demo to recording, is different.
Oh my gosh. The label gave us a time frame of like when we should have the demos in, right? We knew when we needed to have our music in when we moved in. We had months and months and months. So we were writing for months and months and months. And then like a week before we were going to send the demos off to the label so they can hear them all, Tay and I were like, we felt weird about it. And like the thing with us is like everything we do and release needs to feel right. And if there's an inkling of like this I don't like this, then we're not going to release it. That's just how it is. And so we were like, oh my gosh, we were like, I don't think we should release this. No. And we wrote like so many songs. And then Tan and I basically wrote the whole EP mostly in like a week. And like we pulled all niners like in our practice space, like just doing the demos. Oh my gosh, we were up until like 5 a.m.
Literally every day.
I don't know why we did that.
It needed to be done.
Like and it was funny because I had to go back to Atlanta for some stuff within that week too. So we were just ended up writing remotely again.
Oh my God.
And it was just like, I don't know why we didn't tell anyone that we were going to rewrite the whole EP basically because they were going to freak out.
Yeah.
So it was just a secret. So we pulled it off, but like, what were we thinking? I don't know.
So you're saying you have a whole mystery EP that has never seen the light of day.
Basically.
Yes.
Wow. Game changer. Holy.
Honestly, it might though, because some of the songs that were on what Model Citizen would have been, we're kind of like revisiting now for album 1. And we're like, okay, this is heading in the direction of where we're heading currently and kind of seeing how we can change it up a bit to make it, really stick.
Wow.
But yeah, like we decided to rewrite.
So you might come back around from starting off with Model Citizen 2.0 and circling back to Model Citizen beta version.
Yeah.
Interesting progression for y'all. That's very, very cool.
Yeah, but we've also like written a lot of ones that are different from that set of songs that we're like super excited about.
Mm-hmm.
Hell yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it's been so cool. We've been co-writing a lot, going to LA, just seeing what we can make with other talented people and writers. So it's been really fun, but it's also just like a really scary process because like we've just written everything by ourselves prior. So it was like learning to be open and learning to like attempt to allow other people to work on your art with you. And that's like scary. It is a really scary thing, but they've put us with people that we like, and they know that we hate overbearing writers. Like, oh, you sound like this. Like, no way. That's not ever going to work. So they know who to put us with, and we're learning who we like. And sometimes it's just not a match. And the song is just like trash to us. But that's okay, because we still learned a lot.
Can you give us a nugget of like what's like I guess in this last like batch of like these co-writes, was there anything that you're like, oh my God, this co-writing experience just like blew my mind about like?
Oh, for sure. There's one specific session that has topped all of the sessions. We wrote with this guy named John Ryan, who did all of One Direction stuff basically. But the song is not One Direction-y at all. But it's just, we love that song that we came up with in that session.
It's everything. And we've been, oh my gosh, that song is so good. Like, I have no words for that song, really.
You are so good at making your fans way too excited.
Wait, what was that?
Do you actually have words for that song? If so, what is it called right now? Working title? Do we have a title?
Working titles. We love working titles.
I won't tell you what it's called, but I'll tell you what it's about.
Oh, even better, maybe. So it's basically about being really annoyed by people who don't try. And like, you have to give effort, and you can't just expect things to come to you, because you have to work for literally almost everything. And like, I feel like we know about that most, especially being women and being women of color. Like, nothing is going to be handed to us, but that goes for really anyone in life. Nothing is going to be just handed to you. You can't just wish something to happen and it happen. You have to work for it. And we wanted to like write about people who complain about not having what they want, but don't try. Like, what is your problem? Man, as if I wasn't excited enough to hear what this song sounds like. I'm all in. I'm all kinds of on board. I mean, and what you just described is such like for a number of reasons, but a lot of what we try to like talk about, and the reason we're kind of having conversations like these now with the record process is because exactly what you're describing is steering into the obstacles and having that kind of be, these like creative like road flares that go up to be like, hey, if we're, hitting obstacles, you have a choice of like, are you going to keep working through those and find out even more about yourself? Or are you going to just kind of like sit back and just be like, well, that didn't work. I guess, there's nothing there. And you're doing that right now. You're doing, the experimentation with co-writing and trusting people and getting as many perspectives and opinions from either everyone at Fuel Buy or, some other people that you probably trust. And I think that's awesome to hear that you're so open to that and that you're also not even open to it, but are so inspired by it that you are then putting it forward in a brand new song that I assume will be the banger of, I don't know, maybe 2023. I'm not sure. But we'll look forward to it either way.
Definitely 2022.
Oh, hell yeah.
Oh,
definitely.
Bless you.
Yeah.
Okay. On that note, now that we've really gotten everybody excited, we will we'll leave it there and leave them hanging. Always leave the audience wanting more.
Of course.
As y'all know. But this has been quite the incredible conversation. I can't thank all three of you enough. And if you somehow are tuning in and are not yet aware of the greatness and energy that is Meet Me at the Altar, where can they find all of you? Let the people know, because I'm sure you have way more to put out there than you did in this hour. So
so you can find us on any social media platform at MMATA Band, and on like Spotify and Apple Music, all the DSPs. We're Meet Me at the Altar with an @ symbol and altar with an A. Got to make sure you spell it right.
That's right.
If the name is too long for you, you can just call us Mamata, because that's our acronym.
Mamata.
If the name is too long for you, get out of here. There's way longer names. It's criminal if you're letting that stop you. Thank you so much. Go find them and take a listen. This EP is amazing. I'm sure the record will be equally and more so brilliant. We look forward to seeing what y'all have in store for us. So until then, good luck with the writing and good luck with the record, and stay safe out there.
Okay, thank you.
Oh yeah, thank you so much for having us.
Thank you so much.
They are so much fun to chat with, and what a cool story about how time, distance, none of it mattered, and it almost all felt like it was destined to happen. And when it wasn't, there's some incredible examples there of pressing on, staying motivated, staying dedicated, finding your place in a band, in a genre, and eventually coming all together in person. It really all just has this kind of larger than life feeling to it, and it's really inspirational to talk to these young women about their journey and what it's been like from their perspective. If you want more information, I highly recommend, I'll link to it in the show notes. There's a great New York Times article written by one of my favorite authors, Hanif Abdurraqib, where he sits down with the whole band, spends time with them, and really digs into what makes them tick, how they see the world, the next chapter of their genre, and how they plan to insert themselves into it and stay motivated, and where they get that inspiration from. It's an incredible read, so definitely check that out. And if you haven't yet, on Instagram, definitely go follow The Record Process and check out all the links in our bio. Some links to exclusive discounts and partnerships that we have, people like Sheet Happens, Band Builder Academy, and also finally our IZOTOPE giveaway is still going on. You can read more about the details of that in the show notes, but they are giving away a whole 1-year subscription to their music production suite bundle, which is an incredible set of plugins that probably a lot of the records that we're talking about have used pretty heavily. I know I do. So check all that out. And thank you again for listening. And we will see you next week with another episode of The Record Process.